What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cold Takes from the Land.
Cold Takes from the Land, where you get the coldest takes from the hottest Cleveland sports fans.
It's time, buddy. It's finally time, sir.
Yes, it is. We're T-minus 72 hours away from the best day of our lives.
It's felt like fucking years, buddy, since we've played some goddamn football.
Yeah, it's weirdly felt like a long time, but also I felt like we were just doing this like 2 months ago.
Yeah, I know, literally. But
this is going to force us to be more consistent, so this is a good thing.
yes, consistency. Consistency is key, and with consistency being key to the key of life. Anyway, Browns are back. First game of the year. At home. Nationally televised game against the old Dallas Cowboys. And boy, am I excited for this one.
Yeah, me too, man. It's not usually week one. We don't usually get a big marquee matchup outside of a few years ago when we played Kansas City for the first game. So it's exciting to have a primetime game. I think for the only game that's going to be going on during that like weird 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock hours. So I think for a while it'll just be us and the Cowboys playing.
Hey, that's fine by me. Not only is it national TV, but it's Tom Brady's first game as a color commentator. So that's kind of neat.
Who?
Bomb Trady.
Oh, you're talking about the guy from the Brady Bunch?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, you might have heard of him. Mr. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, the fourth.
Okay, Skip, calm down. Calm down.
All right. But anyway, buddy, I'm really excited. I'm real nervous too. This is like the most nervous I've been to the start of a year, probably since like 2021, coming off that playoff season where we beat Pittsburgh and whatnot. Very nervous.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this is probably just because we never usually have high expectations, so this is probably the most nervous I've ever been for a week one game. Usually I'm expecting 3-4 wins max.
Yeah, that's been the common theme the last fucking 2 decades, but it's a different time now, and it's an interesting matchup week one against a Cowboys team that's been through it a little bit in the offseason, and we'll get to that when we get into our keys to victory. But yeah, man, what's your overall excitement going into this week, man?
Oh man, I really don't know what to expect. There's a lot of question marks, I think, on both sides. For us, obviously, a lot of things happened. We gained some guys, Jerry Jeudy in the offseason. For Dallas, they really didn't do a ton. They had a couple late acquisitions. Like you said, we'll touch on this more later, but they just picked up Dalvin Cook like a week ago. Mm-hmm. But didn't add a whole lot in free agency. They lost some key pieces, so this is going to be a weird one. I don't fully know what to expect. Like, my heart's telling me to predict one thing, and then my mind's telling me another. But I have a feeling it's either going to be one or the other that happens. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure we're definitely going to have some thoughts. It's definitely an interesting matchup, like you said, Dallas coming off of, they seem to be the same story all the time, successful regular season, put up good numbers, their defense plays well, but it get to come playoff time and they just can never get over the hump. That's kind of been the storyline of the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. And it's going to be an interesting one. This might be, as we say, a make or break year for us in some ways. It might also be a make or break year for them. And it's definitely two teams with a lot to prove going into the season. And I'm definitely very excited to get going. And with that, why don't we get into our 3 keys to victory, like the good old days.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to bring it back. Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Oh, do you want to go first, buddy? It sounds like you want to go first because you asked first.
Yeah, we can.
All right.
So my first one's a very simple one. We need to keep Deshaun Watson upright. So I don't want to see him getting absolutely drilled out there. I don't want to see his jersey absolutely torn to shreds by the end of this game because Micah Parsons can wreak havoc. So our O-line, I know our tackles are looking kind of shaky right now. We're not 100% sure if Jedrick Wills is going to start at left tackle or not. If he does not, we might have the first time that Conklin starts at left tackle, which could be a weird one. So at the end of the day, I just hope let's keep Deshaun healthy and let's keep him upright.
Yeah, I see why you wanted to go first, because now it's going to look like I'm stealing your ideas, because that was also my first point, is the offensive line in a pass protecting standpoint specifically really need to, put a shell around Deshaun and, keep him upright, like you said. It does make it interesting because obviously we know Batonio's great. Ethan Pocic has been really good. Wyatt Teller has always been a fun guy over there at right guard. But it's the tackles position that's interesting because obviously at left tackle you're unsure. Jedrick Wills, Stefanski's interview today didn't seem very promising. They were even saying Jedrick was kind of saying that not looking very good for him to start. So if that's the case, then you're going to have Jack Conklin playing left tackle, which when Conklin's on the field, he was an all-pro right tackle. At least he played at that level. However, now he's going to be playing left tackle, which he hasn't played in over a decade. So it's kind of hard to tell with these guys, especially a guy who's been hurt so much. So it's kind of hard to know, and I hope if he gets in there at left tackle, I hope he plays well. And then, of course, DeJuan Jones would then start at right tackle, who had a great rookie year and then got hurt. And, I know he struggled a bit initially in camp once he got back from injury, especially, when you're a guy that big and when you have an injury like that. Once you're back,
boy.
Big motherfucking tubby boy is what I call him. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, I definitely agree with you as we share our the first point there is the offensive line. They have to pass protect, like you said. Dallas's, their defensive line is definitely very good, and that all starts with Micah Parsons, who was one of the best edge players, one of the best defensive players, period, all year last year. And of course, they still got DeMarcus Lawrence on that line, who's still very good. It's very well-rounded.
They have a very good 1-2 punch, just like us. So the fact that our tackles are the two most shaky spots on our line right now, that matchup might not be in our best favor.
Yeah, so I'm expecting to see a lot of tight end chips, a lot of running back chips to try and slow down these guys, coming off the edge. So I expect to see a little bit more heavy personnel, and especially in passing downs, more than I think expected. But it's definitely an interesting matchup. I definitely agree with you there on that first point, as we agree with that one.
Yeah, buddy. Awesome. I was going to say, hopefully we don't have a lot of that like we did last year, where we just kept stealing each other's shit.
Oh, it'll happen. It's fine. You go get to your second point, and I'll steal that one too.
Yeah, there we go. So my second one was kind of a random one, but the more I thought about it, I think it's going to be very much a key to victory in the first few weeks until we get Nick Chubb back. But my second point, I had, when in doubt, rely on Njoku. So it's a guy who finally had a big breakout season for us last year, had the best season of his career by far, kind of catapulted himself into that top 5 tight end discussion. And if we can rely on him again to make pretty good runs after catches, because once he gets the ball, he's very physical, as we saw in the Baltimore game last season where Deshaun went off in that second half and throughout the whole course of the back half of the season, basically. If we can rely on him to gain some good yards, be a red zone threat, I think until we get Nick Chubb back and maybe week 5 or 6, I'd say I think Watson's going to have to look to him to kind of get things going on the offensive end.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Njoku really started to break out towards the middle of last year, and then of course once Watson was out for the year and Flacco was in there, Flacco made a good point, like veteran quarterbacks do, of taking your checkdowns, going to your security blankets when you need them, and Njoku was very much that at the end of the year last year, and I hope we can continue that and design some plays for him. To me, it's him and like George Kittle, I think, are like the two best guys at the tight end position with the ball in their hand, in terms of just breaking tackles, making guys miss. And he's been very aggressive with the ball in his hand. So I think if you can get him in space, get him open, he can definitely make some plays. And I'm really excited to see how they incorporate him in this kind of new look, more spread out style offense. And with that, I'll move into my second point. My second point was try to get the run game going any means necessary. Throw different styles of runs at them, inside, outside, zone, power, some misdirection. I even though, of course, we're talking about a guy who's been injured, but I would even get the QB run going in there. Just tell the motherfucker to slide. Just try to get the run game on the best you can, because like you said, we're not going to have Nick Chubb for at least 4 weeks. I'm assuming probably a little bit longer. And Jerome Ford had his spots last year where he made some plays, but then he had his spots where he did not look great at all. Though I do think some of that has to do with the offensive line being so in and out of health. So I'm thinking with a mostly healthy offensive line and the acquisition of Deontay Foreman, that'll definitely help a bit. And I think it's really important to get the run game going early, because that's not only going to, increase the confidence the offense has and also extend drives, but also increase the confidence and comfortability of Deshaun, I think, just because he'll know how he'll have a run game he can rely on at least a little bit. So I think if you can, throw different design runs at him from different spots and average at least 4 yards a carry without Chubb, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hope we can do that. I have my doubts with, Deshaun, our run game tends to be a lot better when he's out there just because he is a threat to run the ball himself. But just in the spot we're in right now, without Chubb still, without our tackles, I have a feeling we're going to struggle mightily in the run game the first couple games. But we shall see. Hopefully Ford can come in there and kind of do some things on third down. He caught a couple good passes from Deshaun Watson for touchdowns last year, so if we can get him involved in the passing game a lot, I think that'll help.
Yeah, for sure.
Going back to Njoku again, too, I just think in game 1, too, there's going to be jitters. They're going to be nervous. Like, I don't think you're going to see a game where, like, Amari Cooper went off for 200 yards last season. Like, it's very much going to be a lot of dink and dunk stuff, a lot of running back screens, a lot of passes over the middle to the check down guys or passes to Njoku. So I think if that can happen, I think we'll be set up for success, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think that's the best to get Deshaun comfortable too, because with the passing game overall being a little more spread out, adding Jerry Jeudy to the mix, I think that's definitely gonna benefit Watson a little bit more, just because he fits that offense a little bit better. So get a lot of quick passes, have him make sure he's hitting his checkdowns like you said when he needs to. That'll just only make him more comfortable. And then still obviously got to take those 3-4 big shots downfield a game. If you can keep doing that and get a rhythm, that's only gonna help. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Run game, yeah.
Yeah, run game.
Yeah, so I'm going to use that to get into my last point here. Defense, just pick up where we left off last year. Hopefully not where we left off at the end of the Houston playoff game, but the other 17 games we played. Just be stifling on defense. I think our front four is going to be even better this season with adding Michael Hall and some of the guys we brought back to kind of keep that depth we had at defensive tackle. We re-signed Za'Darius, as we talked about, to another 2-year deal. You obviously have defending defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett on the run end. So I think with him,
don't sleep on Quentin Jefferson.
Re-signed. Quentin Jefferson, yeah, he's a stud too. That's a guy that was sneaky good. Had 8 sacks last season?
Something like that. Yeah, I think 7. But yeah, a pretty high amount for
Obo out
there.
Guy. With him and Obo, you can honestly spin those two guys whenever Myles or Smith need a rest. We could be really good even off the edge this season again. So get pressure on the quarterback as much as we can. Secondary, I think, is, God willing, I'm knocking on wood here, as long as Ward can stay healthy and not get another fucking concussion or something. I think our secondary is going to remain excellent. And I think the linebacking core is going to be good too. Devin Bush is kind of a question mark, but I think he has some speed, and I think he can do some things that Taki can't do from an athletic standpoint. So I think our defense could be even better this year, man. We were a historically good defense last year, not obviously 2000 Ravens defense or anything, but I think we can even take a step up this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do out there.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I think the defense numbers wise won't be as flashy, but I think it'll be a more well-rounded defense. I think Schwartz is going to make some adjustments from a game planning standpoint, because we are a very hyper aggressive defense, which and I love everything about that, but there were times where you would get gashed a bit just because you're a little bit over aggressive, I think he'll make some adjustments.
You're
there.
Expecting to with Burrow and one of these guys for the Steelers. There's just probably going to be generally better quarterback play in our division too. So I completely agree there.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a more well-rounded defense, like you said, with some of the acquisitions. I think we're better at linebacker now. I think Jordan Hicks is a great addition. Even though he was pretty bad in the preseason, I like Devin Bush. I just like his athleticism as a third linebacker. So I'm hoping as he gets more comfortable, he can make some plays. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a big asset to the season. And I'll round out our final key to victory here with. My final one being, we need to test that Dallas Cowboys offensive line, because it is the worst their offensive line has looked on paper in years. They lost
A
Tyron
decade,
Smith.
probably.
Yeah, they lost Tyron Smith. They lost their starting center, Tyler Biadasz. I don't know how to say his name correctly.
Yeah, beat ass. He was ass.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, buddy, because we're gonna beat ass without him there. But
let's hope.
it's a big difference in the offensive line. Obviously, you still have Zach Martin, who's still very good, but he is a bit older. But it's definitely going to be a bit interesting, especially with someone other than Tyron Smith being there at left tackle, and that is a big invite for Myles Garrett to go and have a field day. So I think
that's a premium position too. Like that's just calling for something bad to happen this season, not having a left tackle like that.
Right, and with that, I feel Schwartz should throw. Maybe I don't even think he needs to go crazy on like the blitzes, but when he does, throw different types of blitzes at him, run different types of stunts, move guys around. I like to see Garrett move around the offensive line a bit, obviously primarily off that right edge, but throw him on the left side sometimes, even throw him inside sometimes. I'd like to see some lineups where if we get like a 5-man rush going, where we just have our 5 best pass rushers have like Miles, Zadarius, Obo.
That'd be sweet.
Dalvin,
throw Jefferson out there or something.
Yeah, either Quentin Jefferson or Mike Hall, or obviously we don't know if Mike Hall's probably not going to play, but just due to obvious reasons, but just as an example.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that offensive line really needs tested, because that's one thing that Dallas has always had in the Dak Prescott era, and even in the Tony Romo era too, is just a damn good offensive line. And this is the first time in a long time that that offensive line looks not quite as real good as it used to be. And I think if you can get pressure early on Dak Prescott and really stop the run, it's going to cause them a lot of problems and make guys like CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson not as effective.
Yeah. I mean, we can completely sap the pass game if we can get to the quarterback quickly, and if we end up winning this game, like in my predictions here in a couple minutes, we'll get into this, what I think is going to happen. But I think it all starts there. If we can dominate up front with the guys we have, I think we'll be setting ourselves up for success there. I think old Zach Martin's going to be freaking screaming Ayudame out there. He's going to be like freaking Wyatt Teller trying to block 4 guys on the same play.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not wrong, because obviously their guards are still really good, but obviously it's a lot different when you're surrounding those guys with new look center, new look left tackle. So it's going to be it's definitely going to be interesting. I really, really hope the defense can have a day a bit against this Cowboys offense.
Yeah, I think with them too, Dallas tends to be, especially from like the offensive line, even when they were good, they were like oddly, they had a lot of penalties, just a weirdly coached team there. Even under before McCarthy was there, when they had old Coach Clapp, as Skip called him, freaking what was his name, Jason Garrett. But yeah, there's going to be that, like with a new left tackle. I think 3 of their 5 linemen are all basically brand new, so there's going to be some communication issues. It's going to be loud in Cleveland. Its first game of the season is a home game against the Dallas Cowboys in prime time, so it's going to be loud. I'm expecting some penalties on their end, so we'll see how they hold up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It's going to be an interesting one, and I'm really excited to get our predictions in, because you've been hyping it up to me a little bit. You see, I don't know if you're throwing a curveball at me or if you're just yanking my chain, but
you don't know what the fuck to expect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're about to say 40-0 Cowboys or what.
40-0. If it was 40-0 Cowboys, I'm going to revoke my Browns fandom.
Yeah, if it's 40-0 Cowboys, I might go watch lacrosse.
Yeah, I'll become a cricket fan.
Let's hear it, buddy. I want to hear your prediction.
All right, so I went back and forth on this for a while. Did a little bit of research on last season too, just what some of our score totals were. I am going to say the Browns win. I'm going to say we win handily, 27-14.
Oh, double-digit victory.
Yeah. I was ready to throw out like a 40 piece, but I'm like, Deshaun's, I don't think he's going to be that. Like, if he comes back looking like Houston freaking Texans Deshaun right away, that would be insane. But I'm like, we only scored 40. Actually, I don't even know if we hit 4. I think we hit 39 like twice last year, but I'm like, I'm not going to throw out a 40 piece quite yet.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see.
Maybe once we get Chubb back.
Yeah, that's true too. That's definitely true. I like that prediction. I like it. It's not as crazy as I thought it was going to be, and I definitely agree with you in some ways in terms of us being
Yeah.
able to beat them handily. But
I think we're going to struggle running. So, like, if I think we could establish the run a little bit better, I'd throw like a higher score out there. But there's going to be some struggles. I just think our defensive line is going to be too much for that new offensive line of theirs.
yeah, I'd see. I agree with you there. And as I get into my prediction, I think it's going to be a bit of a defensive battle. I think it's going to be a little ugly at times. I think Watson's going to come out. I think he's going to be a little rusty. He's going to be a little safe, a little conservative. I do ultimately think Micah Parsons is going to have his way a little bit, just because I'm not the most confident in guys switching sides of the line, especially at the tackle position. And I love Jack Conklin, but he's been barely healthy over the last few years, and he hasn't played left tackle in over a decade. And even if miraculously it is Jedrick Wills, I still feel pretty similar because, yeah, he's naturally left tackle, but he's been very average, sometimes below average, and he's also coming off of an injury as well. So I do feel like Micah Parsons is going to cause us a bit of problems. I think the run game is going to be a bit of a struggle. That's why I made that one of my points, is you got to run the ball in some fashion. I think it'll be a struggle early on. I think we'll make some cracks here and there and break off a couple plays. But ultimately, I think the defense is going to be the name of this game. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring one. I feel like we're going to give Dallas a bit of problems as well with their new look line. I think Prescott's going to be under a lot of pressure. I think they're going to even have – I think the Cowboys are going to have an even worse time running the ball than we will, just because they got Zeke out there who's like 1,000 years old in running back years. They just brought in Dalvin Cook, and who knows what he's going to look like, because he just got there, and even when he's played recently, he's looked pretty washed up. But again, you never know, but still, that's just kind of how I feel. And
Watch Deuce Vaughn breakout game. He's got 250 yards on the ground.
Yeah, fucking Christ, don't say that shit. But I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think CeeDee Lamb will make a couple plays here and there, but I feel pretty confident in our ability to keep him toned down the best we can. But with that, I do think my prediction, I think the Browns win a close one and a bit of a defensive slobber knocker by a score of 17-13.
Damn. That's a defensive stalwart there. I like that.
It's how I'm feeling. It's the feeling in my bones.
It could be, man. I don't know what the hell to expect, man, because I think, like we talked about, I think Dallas is going to take a step back this year, but just knowing them and, Coach McCarthy's been there for a few years now, Dak's been with CD for a while, they could come out and fucking have a heyday against us, but I don't think they will. Our defense is solid, so I think we'll be all right, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens up front, because their line, if they end up surprising us, could be a problem, but I think we're going to be able to hold on. I think Deshaun will do enough. I'm banking on him just having a clean game, not having any turnovers or anything crazy happen like the Pittsburgh game where fucking Dick Cheese or whatever his name is dropped the ball on a freaking hitch route and it went straight to the defender for a pick six.
Harrison Bryant.
Yeah.
God.
Thankfully, he's not here anymore.
Yeah, that is true. But no, I definitely, it's going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to be a game that's going to be won in the trenches, and I think both sides defensively are going to have the advantage. But ultimately, I'm willing to bet that our defensive line is going to have a bit of a better time against their offensive line than it would be vice versa. So that's why I ultimately feel like we'll win the game in a close one. I feel like it's going to be close back and forth, exchange a couple field goals, touchdown here and there. But I think it's going to be something, whether it's a strip sack from Myles Garrett or like a tip pass into an interception for Newsome or Emerson or even a block field goal. It's just something that's going to decide the game on the defensive side of the ball, and I just feel a bit more confident in the Browns' ability to do that than the Cowboys, given the personnel and the matchups. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. If it's that close of a game like you're predicting, I'm going to be in shambles in the fourth quarter down the stretch.
Oh, ain't that the usual as is for us Browns fans?
It is. Some fuckery's going to happen. It's week 1, so we just got to take advantage of these home games this season because the AFC, we only have 8 home games instead of 9 this season. So
yeah,
anytime we're at home, we got to take advantage and try to mollywop whoever we have at old, newly called, what is it, Huntington Bank Stadium now? Or Field?
Oh, yeah, Huntington Bank Field. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Steve was calling it, our buddy Steve mentioned he was listening to the radio this morning, and he said people are calling it the Vault because it's the bank. like Huntington Bank Stadium. They're like, yeah, but we're going to go to the Vault up in Cleveland. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Oh, I like that. It's a cool little nickname.
It's kind of like the Rock for Rocket Mortgage. Yeah.
It'll be even better when we have the dome, because it'll be more like a vault. Because it'll be enclosed.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you'll be locked in, can't get out of there.
You're right. But yeah, man. Do you have anything else you want to add, or I think we're good to get on out of here and let our viewers listen to our lovely thoughts.
Nope. I'm thinking Super Bowl season 17-0. We're gonna beat the Cowboys 52-0, and that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, once again, we appreciate you guys for listening and watching, and we're going to be back to the weekly Browns content. We'll have our usual Guardians videos every few weeks, and we know we're gonna be back into the swing of things. Football season's back. We're real excited. Hopefully we'll be talking. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again Sunday night with our happy faces on, coming off of a sweet victory. And yeah, with that, we appreciate you guys for listening once again. And it has been another episode of Cold Takes from the Land, and we will see you in the next one.
Cold Takes from the Land.